Heavy bowgun, RPM, reloads, bunch of other math. Right, this is long, boring and convoluted, and I have no idea how useful this sort of information is going to be, but this is the sort of thing that I like to do because I'm deranged. All I did is the frame before an ammo on the ammo counter is consumed, timer comes up. The very next frame, wait for it, there we are, 0.01 second. Then it continues. The frame before the next ammo is consumed, 0.57. This is our firing intervals. As you can see, 0.58. We're now down to 4 ammo. This continues on and on and on until we get to the frame before the reload animation, which is 5.42. Why is any of this important? Well, this is where this video gets really, really boring. And there is some technicalities in here, so I do apologise. You might notice that the timer, right there, it's counting up. However, it's counting up in what is called a 60th. It goes basically 0 to 60, 1 second. 60 seconds is a minute, 60 minutes is an hour. In order to calculate things like RPM and reload and have it all on the same sort of spectrum, it's got to be turned into a hundredth, mostly because most RPM, or RPS, rounds per minute, rounds per second, calculators operate on hundredths. In order to do this, we have to do a really, really, really boring calculation. The largest seconds are going to stay the same. So even in 60ths, 10 seconds is 10 seconds, 2 seconds is 2 seconds, and then when that transfers over to a hundredth, 1 second is still 1 second. It's those milliseconds that need to change. We need to change them over to what's called centiseconds, which we do by multiplying the 60ths by 1.6667. This might seem like a weird number, but it's basically the ratio between a 60th and a hundredth. So yeah, you multiply all of your centiseconds by this number, and that will get you a hundredth. Now, we have to kind of go back a little bit and remember the two important numbers that we had. The firing interval, which was 0.5 seconds, and the total mag time, which was 5.42 seconds. These are important for a very specific reason, because they're going to allow us to ensure that our RPM that we calculate is going to be accurate. And we do this by multiplying 0.57 by our 1.6667, which gives us 0.950019. And then we multiply 0.950019 by 6, which gives us 5.700114. So this is now our firing interval as well as our magazine time, converted from it being in a 60th to 100. Just to make sure we've done this right, our mag time was 5.42. Like I said earlier, the 5 seconds is going to remain the same. So we can take the 0.42 and multiply that by 1.6667, and we get 0.700014, which means even calculating it in this manner, we still end up with the exact same firing time as we did when we converted it wholly through 60th to 100. What we now do with both of these numbers is take them over to a calculator like this one. This is Omni Calculator. I've used this quite a lot in the past, and this will actually do the vast majority of our calculations for us, so we don't actually have to worry about doing any more math. It can all be done through this. So our firing interval in terms of hundredths, because this is going to be calculated in hundredths, is we fired one round every 0.950019, which gives us a rounds per minute of 63. We could also try, because we had a 6-round mag, and we fired these in 5.700114, and it still gives us a 63 rounds per magazine. The next bit of mind-numbingness was essentially firing off a magazine. The exact frame before the reload animation kicks in is when the timer would start, which is what you're seeing now, that exact frame. The next frame where the timer would pause or stop would be the frame before an ammo round is fired. I counted that space in the middle as my reload time. What I have just explained, as well as what I did with the RPM, I did with every single ammo type. There doesn't seem to be any difference between the bowguns themselves. They all seem to reload or have the same RPM, as well as Pierce 1, 2, 3 all seem to have the same RPM as well as reload. So there's no real difference in level or bowgun. It's just the specific ammo itself. So I did all of this with every single ammo type, and then I did it again with opener, because obviously opener decreases our reload. These are the results. So hopefully these help out. Now there are going to be two caveats to this, and that is normal on the RPM. You can see 44 and 132. If you're counting the shots as one bullet, it's 44 RPM. If you're counting the shots as 3 bullets, it's 132 RPM. And then Wyvern, there doesn't seem to be any difference with utilizing opener at all. I don't know why. All of this being said, please do account for the simple fact that I am human, I make mistakes, so there is going to be some element of human error here. And those percentage values on the far right hand side is how much opener is actually giving as like a reload buff. I was actually quite surprised to see that it isn't either a solid percentage increase or a solid time increase. I've seen some people say it's like half a second better. It seems to be varying. I've tried to keep it all pretty consistent with the frames that I showed, and in truth, I would love to actually show each individual test for each bowgun, for each ammo with and without opener. But that's like a 5.5 hour recording, and to be perfectly honest, I very much doubt anyone is interested in watching me literally just shoot a magazine, reload, shoot a magazine, time it, run math, next ammo type, next bowgun, do it all again with opener. It was a slog. So yeah, do account for human error. Obviously, there's going to be mistakes. This is like the best I can do. Hopefully, it will give other people a decent starting point if no one else has done this already, or if no one else plans to do this, then I'm afraid to say this is going to be the best we're going to get. Now, in terms of where this can be used, this is something I am planning on expanding on, going into sustained DPS calculations for certain ammos, certain bowguns, etc., etc. Which, if you don't know what that is, the short answer is burst DPS is essentially one magazine, how much you do in one single mag. Sustained DPS is essentially how much you do on average over the course of 5, 10, 15 minutes, a hunt, essentially. And due to the fact that it's very unlikely that you're going to be killing some of these monsters in one magazine, sustained DPS is something that's going to be quite important in calculating, particularly with things like bows, bowguns, and light bowguns. I will be going over how to calculate these sorts of things, what stats are actually going to be more important, as well as hopefully looking into the effects that both opener and tetrad have on these situations. I've done a little bit of calculating with these so far, and the results are actually kind of interesting. Anyway, that is basically going to be it for this video. I am going to let the rest of this hunt play just because I need that ad revenue, I won't lie. So hopefully I can get this to around a bit closer to 10 minutes. But that basically is it for this video. However, in the meantime, have fun, good luck, don't die. It's bad for the health.